So, welcome everybody. It's about 1 minute after 6 if you're on the West Coast. But if you're like me and Austin, you're on the East Coast. So, it's 9. So, the West Coast is hungry and the East Coast is ready for bed. But we've got a lot of brain power here tonight to answer all your questions. I see them coming in on the chat. I'm Lee Norwood. I'm with Annapolis College Consulting and the College Sharks. I'm on the East Coast. We are so excited that you're here, and we're really big believers that everyone deserves to have a college counselor. And we know that at some schools, it's 400 and some kids to one counselor, and you're never really exactly sure where to get good information from. So, this free live stream that we do every Thursday is a great place for you to come and hang out, get your questions answered by industry experts. Though we base a lot of our answers on data, right? Math doesn't lie. So we can get right to it, and we'll let all of whoever's going to be handling the questions get to us. But I just wanted to welcome everybody and say we're really glad you're here, and we'll be here every Thursday. All right, you got some questions?
All right, we've got some questions in the chat. Someone said, "How are you guys? Thank you for answering the question. Are there any free or low-cost websites you recommend to have your college essay reviewed?"
That's a pregnant pause right there from all of
Right.
us.
Well, I was going to say, websites, probably not. That if you're looking to have your college essay reviewed, just as far as your school goes, the easy stuff there is going to be one of a couple of places. Part of it's going to be your counseling office, and just ask and be polite. Who's the guru in the office? Who's really good about this stuff? And the other piece of this also is just 11th and 12th grade English teachers. They literally see dozens of these. And just as far as somebody who knows you, somebody who's going to be kind of a low bar to entry to get to see, I think it's right there in front of you.
I agree.
Family, sometimes even friends, peer reviews sometimes helps. I was trying to think if I could recall any free sites or like professional sites that would do that. I'm not sure. I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now.
And don't you guys agree? You kind of want to know who's looking at your essay, and you kind of want them to know who you are, because the goal of the essay is for your voice to come through. And if you sound like Hemingway and you're not, then that's kind of a conflict. So I wholeheartedly agree with Austin. It's all about who you know, and go talk to who you know and who knows you.
Yeah, your essay's the bow on the top of your package. And just reading just the essay without knowing the rest of your profile would leave me at a loss. I could say it's good writing, but I wouldn't know if it's providing the backdrop that's needed for your profile.
We have another question. Someone wants to know, are SATs still worth taking?
Can I sing first before anybody answers? You guys know Justin Timberlake? We're bringing testing back. Yeah, yeah.
So on the CounselMore blog, there's a good article about how fast how slow it took us to get to testing optional, and then how fast it was for us to get back to testing. And it's incredible how fast it is to get back to testing. But if you're receiving 200,000 applications for a 2,000 class size, there's got to be some line. There's got to be a line in the sand. So testing is the way to do it. Is it too late? Are you a junior or are you a senior? What is it, October? No, it's not too late. No, it's not too late. It's not too late. If you could find a testing site, even if you're a senior, it's still not too late. But if you could find a testing site, but I don't think you'd find a testing site right now, right? Can you find a testing site right now? I guess if you drove hours.
They're well subscribed.
Yeah. And also it depends on what your college goal is, whether or not you take the SAT or ACT, whatever testing option. If the school that you really want to go to is a UC, they don't even consider the SATs, right? Or if you're going to community college, if you're starting off on a different path, you just have to figure out what are the goals that you have for your post-secondary, and then figure out if they want your SATs. So there's not a very clear answer here. And I think a lot of questions tonight will be, well, it depends. And I find myself saying that a lot. Well, it depends. So that question, hopefully that helps you a little bit, but That would be.
Right. And also one other thing to consider too is if you're looking at the highly selective colleges and universities, then the answer to that is easy. That's a flat yes, that you need strong and you need exceptionally strong testing. If you're looking at a lot of colleges that are a lot of people are applying to, then the simple thing here is look at the median score for last year's class. If you're at or above that, submit the testing. If you're not, and it's testing optional, don't. And then the last piece of this is that some people may not recognize is if in 10th or 11th grade you've got some AP scores, preferably fours or fives. That's aside from SAT, ACT, that's a very strong demonstration of a strong student. And so, also consider that as well.
Someone wants to know, does too many extracurriculars hurt their application?
It could. I mean, I would say if I could just, yeah, it depends. Thanks, Lee. It depends. Do you have a theme around all of the extracurricular things that you're doing, or is it just resume building? Are you just trying to put stuff on the resume just to put stuff? You could get into, I work with a lot of students who are top performer, highly motivated. Most of my students want to go to a top 20, top 50 school in the US. And some of them only have 3 or 4, but they go deep into those 3 or 4 activities, which is much more meaningful than having 10 different things that you do are completely random. One week you'll do a beach cleanup. One week you're at an elderly home, or, and another week you're working at an orphanage. I don't know. So if you're doing all these things that are not connected in any sort of way to you and what you truly care about, I think it's not worth it to stack it with a lot of activities.
I had a client today, a kid who is just exceeding my expectations in his applications. He's awesome, and I didn't see this coming, so I'm really proud of him. But you know what? He's an Eagle Scout, and he's the Eagle of the Eagle Scout, Eagle of Eagle. So really, everything he's done extracurricularly has to do with this. And so he has like 3 things, and I said, you have a depth that most kids don't have. So he doesn't need to fill all 10 slots, right? He's a badass. He's an Eagle Scout, and he's even a top of the line Eagle Scout. So really think, and you guess what he wants to possibly do, environmental science or forestry. So that even makes.
Is she frozen?
I believe. Well,
That even makes more sense. That's
yeah,
the
no, to
finishing.
pick
We
up her
finished
lead,
Washington.
that with this, I mean, especially more selective schools, they're not looking for breadth. Actually, what they're looking for is they're looking for a student that has found something that's a deep interest and made a commitment. And this is going to look like a lot of different things for a lot of kids. I'm glad we finally sort of moved away from the every kid has to be a leader, because every kid isn't, and they'll stop making things up that they'll put on this. But again, what's the thing that really kind of captivates the kid? And my favorite story about this is a high school I worked at had a really strong swim program, and I worked with a lot of swimmers. And guess how many things they had on their activities?
1, yeah.
And they'd get really nervous about it, and I'd say, well, what do you do like in every waking moment? And they'd say swim, and I go, okay, there you go. We got you, Lee. We got the true
We got the question.
demonstration of leadership.
Yep, it's think about how you are describing what you've done. I once had a kid who did gymnastics for 8 years, and she had won a lot of awards, right? So okay, that's what we're going to focus on, right? We're going to build the application around this incredible profile of all of your accomplishments in gymnastics. And that's in our conversation. She told me all about gymnastics. So I was sizing that up in the back of my mind. And then when she filled out her forms inside CounselMore, and then for gymnastics, she didn't list all the awards. She said, it says like, what did you learn? Why did you do it? Tell me about the activity. And all she wrote was, after 8 years, I learned I never want to do gymnastics ever again. Pretty compelling. It's pretty compelling. Give me the backdrop. Yeah, I thought that was a great description.
Someone wants to know at which schools do the Ivy League schools look for in high school, such as grades?
Can you
It's
say
like
that
which
again,
grades do
please,
they
love?
specify in?
Say that one more time.
The student worded it, at which years do the Ivy League schools focus on and look at in high school for grades?
All of them, dude. If you're going to the Ivy League, I smelled you walking down the street right after eighth grade. You want to go Ivy? You're competing at a high level. That's like me saying I'm going to get into gymnastics and I'm going to, Nadia Comaneci is going to go against me. Like, seriously? I guess it would be Simone Biles to be more relevant. But yeah, I mean, they've been practicing and gunning for this and rolling. So if you had two crappy years and then you jammed junior year, sorry, you're not Ivy material, but you can graduate at the top of your class from another school that isn't even close to being that expensive and kill it and be a big fish in a small pond. So I'm not trying to shoot your dreams. I'm just trying to tell you not to write those 25 essays for Ivies that you're not going to get into.
I think I would add to that, if I had to rank what years, like Lee said, they're all important, obviously. Depending if you're doing early action, early decision or not, senior year may or may not count, right? But when you're looking at 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, I would say the most important year is your 11th grade, right? They want to see that you are completely ready for the challenging curriculum, the rigorous coursework. 11th grade is probably the most important one. If you had like a C in 9th grade, but progressively, because they look at the difficulty of the courses in each subject and each core, they look at, are you taking harder and harder classes each year, or are you kind of, I'll do an honors this year, maybe I'll go down to a regular class, and then maybe do an AP. It look at the trend of how your courses stack up. If you had some difficulty, some kind of transitioning happening in your life in 9th or 10th grade, and you have a little hiccup, I wouldn't say completely, nope, you're out of the picture, you're done, dude, next. Because they are people, right, that are reading your application. They understand if you've had big transitions, if there was a death in the family, if there was a sickness, an illness, something that you had to deal with that was traumatic and affected your grades. So which one? Probably 11th grade is the most important, then 10th grade, and then obviously 9th grade. So I've worked with a lot of students, but there's no magic formula. And I've worked with students who had 1C junior year, completely straight A's, but then A push just really killed her junior year. And she was like, I really want to apply to Harvard. Well, but we did, and she got in, so it's really tough to just cross you off just because of a particular grade or particular, but overall, like Lee is saying, they want to know that you're motivated, that you are independent, and that you can handle the rigorous coursework. If I got a C for just 1/4 of a class, will it look bad? Depends on what your transcript reports, right? I don't think a lot of schools do not report quarter grades, right? Most of the time it's either semester grades and I with a school that only publishes on their transcripts the year grade. So if you did poorly in 1/4, if it's not recorded on your transcript, then it's okay, but you better bring that grade up by the end of the semester.
Another student was wondering, what if my math grade is continuously lower all 4 years compared to other core classes? Will there be an impact?
I was going to say with this one, this is a good one. And I think part of it is, what is this student tracking themselves towards? If they're tracking themselves towards engineering or a core science, that's going to be a steeper hill to climb, just because with all of those, if you're looking at undergraduate programs in either of those, or something that's very, very math heavy, computer science, economics, or something like that, that's going to be a challenge. If this person is going to be, take your pick, arts, liberal arts, something for which math is an absolute requirement, in that case, lean on your strengths. Is this a student that is going to be doing AP Lit, AP Lang? Is this a student who is going to be doubling down on a lot of the kind of humanities and social sciences APs? And if that's the case, they're going to present a really sort of compelling case for themselves. And, okay, if they get a B plus in pre-calc or something, that kind of tracks, but there are strengths elsewhere that really will make this student a great candidate. If they're thinking engineering, a little bit steeper hill.
This one, I'm going to jump in. I'm stuck on this one, and I actually want to hear each of your answers. And it's really very interesting. Have you ever made a decision of yes in the first 100 words of an essay without reading the rest?
Yep.
All right. Why, Margaret? Talk to me.
because it was an honest sentence. It was super honest. And even it was not grammatically correct, but it was honest.
Austin, come on.
Have I ever said, I never say yes. I'm on the other side of the desk. I'm schlepping and hustling with kids. I'm trying to get them into schools. I've read, oh gosh. I mean, the fun thing is, and all of us know this, when, a kid just writes this essay that's really honest and it just gets you right there. And it's just clear that whoever this student is, they're just putting it all out on paper. And again, that's a gift. I mean, that's of course what we'd all like our students to be. And then there's the rest of us. But yeah, no, and those moments are just special. They really are.
I agree. I've definitely fallen in love with students in the first 100 words, and I'm rooting for them. Like, oh my gosh, this is an amazing essay. But then you have to read the rest of the essay. You have to read the rest of the application. How does that essay fit in with all the activities that the student has been doing? So yes, I've said yes to students in the first 100 words, but it's yes, but let me finish and get to know you a little bit better through all the activities and other things. Yeah.
Yes, and everything else has to fit too.
So can
Yeah.
I add a secondary piece to this? So if we're talking about a highly selective school, and what do I mean by that? I'm going to say less than 20% acceptance rate. I think that yes, after the first 100 words would be different than a school where you're really applying where you fit. And then your first 100 words of your essay might get you a merit aid, or it might get you a departmental scholarship, right? So I don't want everybody on here to think we're only talking about highly selective schools. C's get degrees all day long. You're just not getting a degree from Yale. So
And you don't
I
want
do
one.
feel like,
You
please.
don't, yeah. And you don't want one from Yale, right?
Why? I love Yale.
After
Yale was like,
Yale is a wonderful school for the right kid, but you don't want to get
oh, if you haven't, yes,
not
yes. That's right. That's
you
right.
will drown and you will be so annoyed by your classmates. Yale kids want to hang out with other Yale kids. Have you ever been in a room with Yale kids? Everybody talks at a different pace. They're different levels. Something else is going on there, and you're not in the conversation, and you will always feel that way. So a school, a lot of times when you're getting a loss in life, you see it as a loss. When truly it is a pronation. It is a pain that is coming for a reason because the right thing is on its way. So not everybody's going to Yale, and that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Not a bad thing at all.
I went to Elon. Does anybody know Elon? Has anybody heard of Elon?
Yeah, but Elon's an amazing school. So
I know, but when I went there, it was an answer to a four-letter Sunday crossword puzzle on the New York Times that said a beautiful school in North Carolina, right? That's what we were, the answer to a crossword puzzle. So, my degree means more now than when I was there, but at the time of my life, I got a job right out of school. My degree means more now than it did then. I have lifelong friends, and we're all kind of like, it's just cool to go to a school with only 3,000 people. And I feel like no matter where I go, there is somebody. It might not be 100 of my alumni, but there's three, and I have street cred because we got that bond that we went to that same small school. So I definitely think that broadening your scope, all I wanted to do was get away from my mother. I'm going to be honest with you. I just wanted to get the hell out of town and figure out who I was without this hovering, like negative thing on my head. So I got a scholarship. It was less than my in-state school. I was like, I am out of here. No idea what I was doing, but guess what? Best move I ever made. I followed in Margaret's footsteps. I became an RA, an assistant. Some of my best friends in my life were the freshmen on my hall that I was in charge of. And I'm not bragging, but I mean, I was in Greek life. It was fun. And I knew the president when I walked across,
right.
this. When I graduated, and he said, "You've made your mark, Lee Norwood." I know my daughter, when she graduated from NC State, even from just the engineering program, they might not have known they might have known her name, but they wouldn't have associated it with her. So I
Right.
just think sometimes on these talks, we're just talking to the most highly selective, and
No.
you might not be old enough yet to be highly selective. Awesome.
You guys mind if I hit a couple of these real quickly? I'm just looking at some of the questions popping up. Okay, this one, this resonates. Is it okay if my personal statement is kind of a mess? Well, no, that's not okay. Here's the good news that right now, even for the sort of super early EAs, which are October 15, let's pick this sort of November 1 is you got a month. And so in this case, is it kind of a mess? That's okay. And at this stage of the game, don't sleep over this. But what I would say would be find somebody who knows you. Maybe it's one of your friends, maybe it's one of your peers, maybe it's your favorite aunt or uncle or cousin. Find somebody and have them read through it. And then the second thing is too, and come back to this with a lot of students, make sure you're answering the prompt asked. And one thing is with the UCPIQs, with the common application, with all these things. Even I've been working with somebody on their UCAS personal statement that they ask question that ends in their soliciting specific information. Make sure if nothing else you're providing that.
Austin,
And
can you
so
remind everybody what a CAPIQ is and what a UCAS is, please?
UCAS is the UK application system, and the PIQs are the UC personal information question, which the University of California very deliberately targets and makes different from the common application.
So UK is the United Kingdom, and if you guys understand geography, that's going to be Scotland, Ireland, England, all of those things, and the
And
UC
Wales,
system, and Wales, and then the UCs is University of
California.
California, so they are not on the Common App. They have their own. California likes to take care of their own.
But yeah, and again, at this point, plenty of time, and especially if you're considering regular decision, that worked plenty of students that they need to feel the heat. When they do, they get.
Keep going. Knock them out of the park.
Ooh. And then, the other one that caught my eye was, can you still get accepted to colleges with low acceptance rates without taking an AP or honors? I'll answer this two ways, is that not all schools will have a high flying and regular curriculum. That what was looking for is, did you maximize your opportunities given the curriculum that your school presents? And this is both in school, and this is also, do they have opportunities for dual enrollment? The people who are reading these will know this because they're going to look at your school profile, and it will have a list of all the schools and all the sort of links. What can you take? And you're looking at a highly selective school and you thought, oh gosh, AP, that's pretty hard. That sounds like a lot of reading. Everyone says AP Bio is horrible, and they're correct. The reality of it is there's going to be a lot stronger candidates in the pool in very selective colleges. But, that also means that this gives you the opportunity to look around and find a college that's the right fit for you. And there's literally hundreds of them. And it's just do a little bit of digging.
Yeah, and to follow up with that, there's another question in the chat about what looks better on a college application, AP or dual enrollment. This is something that I struggled with when I was in high school, many, many, many. Um, and I chose the dual enrollment route. And so my background, I graduated high school when I was 15 years old. I skipped my senior year of high school because by the time I was a senior, I had taken all of the dual enrollment classes I could. I actually earned my AA degree from the community college because I had so many dual enrollment, credits. And so I didn't take any AP exams. I'm not a very good standardized test taker, but I'm a very hard worker. And so the dual enrollment program was it was right up my alley. And so I started taking college classes when I was in ninth grade, just starting off with one little thing, one little math class maybe, or one little, I don't know, maybe it was a sociology class or something that I was able to take. And then it was just like, wow, I found my groove. And so by junior year, I had like 60 credits something at the community college. If I had stayed in state, I could have transferred that. I'm actually based in Orlando, Florida. So I'm on the East Coast with you as well. I've got my work t-shirt on top and I've got my pajama bottoms on the bottom. It's the best. I love these Zoom sessions. But dual enrollment, I love it. The only thing I would say about it is a lot of the top tier schools, they won't take that dual enrollment credit. You have to start all over. In my case, it was fine because I was only 15 anyway, so I was happy to start over because if I stayed in Florida, I would have been able to transfer my dual enrollment community college classes to UF, FSU, U Miami, or whatever. But then I would be like 16 and then a junior in college. And that would just awkward. Socially, it's awkward. Just you want the whole 4 years of college. The other thing I would say about it is AP scores, a lot of schools, even the top schools, will give you credit if you have a certain score. They will give you kind of a pass to skip out of the most basic classes. If that's like Calculus 101, you don't have to take that if you've got a 5 on your AP calculus exam. It depends on what are your goals? It depends. Where's your sign, Lee? I need your sign. It depends. What looks better on college application? It goes back to what Austin was saying. What are you taking advantage of all the programs that your school is offering? Are you really showing that you are, motivated and you're excited to learn? Do you love learning? So as long as you're doing that, I don't know that the college is actually, and I get this question a lot, AP, dual enrollment, or IB. IB is the other one that always throws the wrench in there. And based on my own personal experience, I always say like dual enrollment, awesome, AP, awesome. Do the dual enrollment and then take the AP exam if you really want to cover all your bases.
Okay, let's talk that. Okay, we need to roll with this because I'm going to feel a little bit differently than you, although Margaret schooled me on it a little bit. Yeah, if you can get out of high school with your AA degree, rock on with your bad self. But for me, an AP know what you've been taught. They know what you've been tested on, and they can say this is worth this many credits. So if I'm talking to a kid about dual enrollment versus AP, I'm going to say AP. I lost myself all the time. AP first and all the time. However, dual enrollment is great if your school, let's say your school's caps out at Calc AB and you want to take integrative equations. Rock on, go do it, do dual enrollment. But it's really different. I don't know. I think, again, it depends. But what it depends on, and correct me if I'm wrong, is what's your school profile? And here's my question to you guys. If I can pick a few IB classes versus the IB curriculum, that's what throws me off as a counselor. I've got kids who are taking these APs and then, I'm taking this in IB. And I'm thinking, okay, I thought IB was a full curriculum. How are you just throwing in a couple IB classes? Can you explain that to me?
I can. That within a school, the gold standard is doing the IB diploma, which is over 11th and 12th grade. It's a total of 6 classes, and they've got sort of staggered in such a way that you're not taking all of them for both 2 years, but there's overlap. The other thing is, and this is not unusual, plenty of schools will have an IB program and they will allow students to take a little bit more of an a la carte approach to this. And it's very similar to APs that, you take the APs you choose, and schools say, you're qualified for it, and then you go in, and IB will be the same. With those students, IBs are going to carry roughly the same weight as an AP. And again, like with all APs are not created equal either. There's the core sciences, there's AP Bio, AP Chem, AP US History, and then I will some of the lighter ones under the bus. And Lee and I talked about this. The 3 credit APs, things like AP Stats, AP Environmental Science, AP Human Geography, and again, these are great classes. But with all of this, as colleges are looking at them, colleges know exactly what they are. And so, if you're trying to sort of say, oh, I'm a really strong student, I'm taking AP Stats. No, that just means that when you got done with pre-calc and trig, you didn't quite qualify for calc, so let's do AP Stats. And again, no foul there. But that's how it looks. But yeah. And then the other piece about this is with dual enrollment, for some students, this is really their opportunity, and it's a great opportunity that that they have. And dual enrollment classes like APs, not all dual enrollment classes are created equal. And so all of these, you want to look at what it is, you want to think about it in the context of what's this student's profile? Are they really, really digging in? Are they maxing out everything they can? If that's the case, great. And even somebody who's taking a dual enrollment because they say this looks really interesting, that's not a bad thing. Don't shy away from that. Please,
You're
Annie.
telling me that
Yes.
really look that deeply at this stuff. I'm playing devil's advocate.
They
We,
they will
really
do this stuff.
Yes.
they're not officers. They're just representatives. They're not officers.
Are we talking about the military or
I,
academics?
I just wanted to add on to that, Austin. When you are talking about dual enrollment classes, make sure you're taking a dual enrollment class. You get extra point, like not extra points. You get a gold star if you're doing a dual enrollment class that is a class that is not offered at your high school. A
Right.
lot of times,
Right.
and this is a mistake that a lot of students make, is your may have AP stats. It may have honors statistics,
Right.
but you're like,
Right.
well, I'm going to do it at the dual enrollment program. The question then becomes, wait, why are you doing that? Are you trying to avoid a teacher? Are you trying to, so dual enrollment, not just taking classes, that you already are offered in your high school curriculum, but make
Right.
sure you're also looking at dual enrollment is there so you can have other opportunities to show off what you're interested in. Take a business class because a lot of high schools don't have that. Take anthropology, sociology, classes that are not offered in high school. Those are the classes that are going to add extra weight and value in the time and the effort that you take to take a college class. So
Right.
I did to add that to what you were saying
No, I
about
100%
dual
agree.
enrollment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because I run into students like that all the time. They're like, oh, I really hate my bio. I had them in, ninth grade and I don't want to have them again. So I'm going to do dual enrollment bio. Like, well, let's think about that.
Right.
So don't just do it just for the sake of doing it. So
Yep.
let's see. What else?
All right, I've got one. Where do I look for scholarships? Okay, hear me when I say this and really listen. The most money you will ever get towards the cost of your attendance at a school will be from that institution itself in the form of a merit aid award or a need-based aid award. So when I think that there are outside scholarships out there that are worth going after. I think most of them are in the file drawer in your high school counselor's office because those are the ones that have been given out over time. But if you are really looking at trying to get the most scholarship money you can, I think that it depends comes up because it really depends on what is your student aid index on the FAFSA. Will you get government aid? What's government aid? It's a Pell Grant and a couple of loans, but the number means something to the universities. So if you're going to put your effort anywhere, it should be into picking the right schools on your list and having the best application you possibly can. And if we just bring it down easy, if you just want to figure this out, go look at the University of Mississippi, Ole Miss. They have a grid. It tells you if you have this test score and this GPA, and we want you, you get much money. That will motivate you to test again. That will motivate you to do a lot of things. Now, every school is not that transparent, but chasing the outside scholarships, and there's people that do this for a living and they do it very well. I'm not sure if the juice is worth the squeeze. I think your first move should be to have the right schools on your list. If you're looking at schools that are only Louis Vuitton, Louis doesn't go on sale. They don't. They don't have to go on sale. People are buying them whether or they're buying at the top price. So don't look at a Louis Vuitton sale. Go look at a Coach class. I mean a Coach school. They go on sale. Sometimes they're even at TJ Maxx. Think about it like that, but that's where your most money is going to be. So if I were you, I would put all of my eggs in the basket of what schools would want to lower their cost of tuition because they want me. And no matter where you are, there are schools that want you.
Right.
So
And then
Uh,
the other to this too, and this is something that a lot of students aren't aware of until they get sort of way in this rabbit hole, that if they're applying for and chasing external scholarships, and again, there's no knock on them, the intention is great, and I'll use something easy, something like a Rotary scholarship. Okay, with those, if a student gets, and there's a there's a couple of things here. You want them to be renewable as opposed to just a 1-year grant. And if they're renewable scholarships, what most universities will do is they will take that off of the grant that they offer you. And so a college or university is giving you a $20,000 grant and you get a $5,000 Rotary scholarship. They'll pat you on the back and say, that's fantastic. Exactly. And what they'll do is they'll say, because you're getting that, then we can lower our grant to 15,000. Rotary will sort of backfill it and you're back to where you are. So you really haven't saved any money. Is this universal? No, but that is more the norm than less the norm. And if you're even considering spending a lot of time chasing these little, and the message here is don't do it, but do it with your eyes wide open. And the other thing is you can ask schools, you can say, if my local school or town has a scholarship fund and they grant this and it's renewable, does against my grant? And schools will give you an answer. But that's the secret. And Lee spent a lot of time talking about this. Lee, I 100% agree with you that your option is going to be, grants in different forms from the institution.
And second step, in my humble opinion, should be the drawer at your counselor's office, because those are things that they've given to kids before. Your local politicians, let's say you have a local state senator, they typically have an ability to give you between $500 and $2,000, and it's an end. But kind of stay local. That Rotary, all of those things. Like if you're in your mom's in the Republican Women's Group or the Republican Democratic Group, but you have to remember those scholarships are going to be $200, $500. Hey, that's more an hour than most people make. So spend an hour filling that out. But I don't think it should be your first move. There are some scholarship groups like Going Mary, Dave, the scholarship coach, all of those. You just want to vet those. Sometimes they pull all those scholarships together. You just have to make sure that they're not just, and Margaret probably comment on this, gathering and selling your data.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
pay.
But I also, if you're going to start filling out a whole bunch of applications, I think you should get a separate email address because they are going to sell your data. 110% your data's sold. So a junk address to do that would be a good idea.
Yeah.
Good
Answering some of these.
We temporarily crashed, I just want to say, but now we're back. So thank you to everyone who joined and now is rejoining. That's
Welcome
amazing.
back.
We're
Thank you.
We're
Thank
like,
you.
you have no idea. You just made a whole bunch of college counselors super happy. We're going to dance all the way home. Thank you.
Woohoo. Listen, I have sons, right? And they're 8, 10, and 12 years old. I told them I was going to be on a live stream tonight, live TikTok, Facebook. They're like, what? Are you going to be famous? And then my little one goes, there's going to be like 3 people on there, Mom. So yeah, and that's going to be me and the other 2 brothers. So thank you all for coming back. I can tell them it wasn't just 3 people.
Currently, there's 88 users in right now.
Yay! Hi, wonderful. Let's get these questions.
Welcome.
Very
So here's one.
quickly.
Should I
Yeah.
transfer out of Tulane? Do you hate it? Is
What?
it too expensive? Do you
No,
not like
wait.
the heat? You can't. You guys go
Yeah.
question like that. So let's
Yeah,
go to
and
some
there's
of the
a
more
college
detailed ones.
advisor. There's a college advisor at Tulane University in our call or in our thing. Thank you. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us. So don't transfer out of Tulane unless it's like really not a good fit. Then talk to the advisors there and figure out why it's not a good fit.
And if you're a freshman, you're probably in the W curve, which means you're just trying to figure out who you are, what you're doing, and where you're happy. So take a deep breath and get to Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thanksgiving, but also go talk to the academic advisor at Tulane because they have an entire team of academic advisors at Tulane and lay out your schedule and say why it is that you want to transfer. Because if you've already started somewhere, then you've already laid down some work. So before you, burn the bridge behind you, go talk to the academic advisor. You're already there. You're already paying them. Go talk.
Yeah. Real quick, is a 1530 SAT score good for UF? 1530 score is good for you're in the 98th percentile, so it's not just UF, but the question is, what other things are you bringing to the campus? So yes, I know I work with a lot of Florida students as well, and they're like, oh, UF, I heard so-and-so didn't get in and they had a perfect score. Yes, it is getting more competitive. However, just the test score is, that's not telling us anything. It just tells us that you're a good test taker.
It's
So
a humble.
yes. Oh, is that what that was? Well, good for you. High five. 1430. That's a great score. I hope you're looking at other schools as well. So yes, it is a great score. It's good enough for UF, but now what are the other things that you have to contribute to the college? And that's what you need to prove.
I want you to
Um,
go to the UF website and I want you to use the search bar in the top right-hand corner and I want you to type in last admitted class profile. Last admitted class profile. Then go compare yourself.
Yeah, but then the thing is, like, a lot of times those websites don't give you the meat. They just give you, like, what's the score, what's the GPA, right? But you don't really know what's behind those numbers. What kind of challenges have they overcome? What's their story? What are they passionate about? So it's really hard to see the data in numbers. But a lot of kids freak out because they're like, well, I heard so and so got a really high score, but they didn't get in. Well, could be a lot of things. Could be they wrote a horrible essay. Could be, oh, I recently saw this kid on it was like CNN or I don't know, some news channel, and he was on there talking about how he got rejected from every top school, even though he was valedictorian. And did you see this, Margaret? I think he was from
My
San
neighborhood.
Francisco.
He's from
Yeah, right? Okay, he made the mistake
here.
of he posted his essay, his admissions essay,
Yeah.
and he was like, well, how come they didn't accept me? I have a, $5 million company, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, your essay is AI. It's completely AI, including the tapestry of the cultural, quilt that is your background. I hate that word, tapestry. Folks, if you're online and you're reading this or you're listening to us, do not use the word tapestry. That is a red flag. So this dude's like, his, and after he actually pulled it off, and he took down his essay that was posted because I think people were calling him out on it. It's like, yeah, you didn't get in. Yeah, you're off. You have the test scores, but did as well? Like it was very, so
I've heard people
anyway.
say that when you write an AI essay, and I've read a few this year, that it's like a skeleton. I could plug anybody into that skeleton. I want to know your hearts, your lungs, your lymphatic system, the bones. I read one that is one of my kids wrote about skiing, and I thought, well, shit, I've done that. I was worried about that. I skied through the trees. I thought I was going to die. I felt like I was in an avalanche. Awesome. Woo! Most people who've skied out west on a big mountain have felt that way.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Why?
So
Yes.
I agree. And that's why I have a TikTok show called Bullshit from the Parent Sidelines. And every
Nice.
time I have a meeting, I have a
Can you
parent
beep this
say,
out?
I heard
Say it
that. They
again.
say, I just use a dollar sign for the S in the SHIT word. It's from the
Such a
sidelines
rebel.
and they're getting stressed because this kid did this or that kid did that. And it's BS. You don't have context. You don't understand. Great. She might have had a higher this or that, but what did she apply to? Engineering at MIT?
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
compare yourself. Just don't compare.
don't compare yourself.
You have
Yeah.
no idea what that other person's application. That's all. Austin's holding his pen because he's having
No,
to
I
deal-
was to say, but no, I enjoy this. But there's one that's jumped out at me, which I want to jump, and this is one of my favorites. Is it bad to apply undecided?
Ooh,
Abs-
that's a great question.
Absolutely not. Being undecided is absolutely fine. And let me make some context for this. If you're applying undecided, there's a couple of things for the admissions officers in the room. Hopefully you'll nod and say he's quite correct. That one of the things is if regardless where if you check undecided, that gives the admissions team a lot of room where they can slot you in. Okay, and I'm gonna be easy. If we're talking about, you're applying to either a liberal arts within a university or a small liberal arts college, that there, if you're applying there, there's a couple of sort of low key pre-professional programs. If you're applying biology, if you're applying chemistry, if you're applying economics, basically that's pre-med or business, and they will a finite. They'll have 40 seats for biology majors. They'll have 50 seats for econ majors. And so if you say that, you've put yourself in a smaller box. If you say, I'm undecided, then that gives a lot of latitude of, oh gosh, you're a great kid. You've demonstrated an interest in the school. You talked about how we have our, sort of fall dance party and you love electronic music and this is gonna be great. And there's a lot of things you mentioned that resonate with this. This is perfect just because then they can say, you're welcome, you can come in. Now, let me take this a step further. There's a number of schools, one of my favorites, which is the sort of in-state school and for out-of-state tuition is still ridiculously affordable, which is Purdue. One of their biggest programs there is the Exploratory Studies program. And this is a 2-year program where they've got just a platoon of academic experts who are going to help you, work with you, and with the exception of, I think, engineering, that if you're in the exploratory studies program at Purdue, you should be on track to graduate in 4 years for pretty much most of their majors. Other smaller schools that have similar programs, Ithaca College does. A very small school in Virginia called Roanoke College. I went on a great visit there, and they said, we love undecided students just because that gives them a chance to work with them. And from admissions standpoint, here's a kid who's going to be really sort of sampling a lot of things in the curriculum, not just, well, I'm going to be a biology major, so I'm going to take lots of sciences, a couple of math classes, and and in my free time, I'm going to volunteer at a hospital. And that's not bad, but what about, all of the programs and all the classes that schools are offer, undecided kids going to take those, which I think is kind of cool. So yes, apply undecided.
My daughter
That's a
went to NC State and she went into the engineering program, but she lived with a group of people and most of them were in exploratory studies. And she was like, Mom, if I had know what I kind of wanted to do, I'm almost envious of them because of the amount of things that they were exposed to from agriculture to engineering to just, philosophy. They had a meeting once a week. They lived in the same area and they had a meeting once a week with their advisor. So it was very structured to kind of help them figure out what they wanted to be. I figured out what I wanted to be when I grew up when I was 50. So I mean, I love that. I love a structured exploratory program.
Okay, can we talk
I
about when it's not a good idea to be undecided?
Yeah, I was just say I love that perspective often. For me in my practice, I always try to go in with something in mind. If a kid comes to me and says, I'm really undecided, Kim, I don't really know what I want to do. I will look at all the activities that they've done and try to find a common theme that falls in line with a major. And the students with I don't do undecided, and I love your on that. I never thought of it that way. I mean, I changed my major, I think 6 or 7 times, right? You declare it second semester, or sorry, yeah, second semester of sophomore year. So you have 2 years to technically go in and explore. Admission officers, they know you're 17, 18, maybe 19 years old. They know what you think you want to be right now is not necessarily what you're going to end up being, right? Like Lee said, at 50, she finally, when I grow, I want to be, right? So in my practice, I always try to go in with, some kind of idea and a lot of times it falls under the College of Arts and Sciences anyway. And a lot of times what you're interested in is interdisciplinary, meaning it is a little bit of maybe sociology, maybe psychology, maybe economics. But I always try to hone in on maybe two different majors, potential majors, and then kind of fake it till you make it. I always tell the students, whatever activities you've been doing, why do you enjoy working at the YMCA teaching little kids? What is it that really draws you to that?
Right.
Is it the education aspect of it? Is it working with little kids? Like what is it? And then we try to build a theme of potential major. So that's really interesting. So I've never done undecided with my students. It's always been like, let's say we this want to do, even though that
Right.
may change. And
No,
admissions officers know that.
no, and believe me, we're not on this, just because with a majority of the students I work with a lot of stuff that I do, one of the things we'll do is we'll literally do a gallery tour of just a bunch of university websites, and what I'll tell them is, spend some time here. There are programs you never knew existed. A small liberal arts college will have between 30 and 40 departments, and R1 university will have 150.
Yeah.
And I say, take a look at this, like what resonates with you. And it's always fun when the kids have that sort of aha moment. They're like, I didn't know this was a thing. And I'll also tell them, look in the multidisciplinary section. I mean, I would say average, I'll have maybe one or two kids who are just by the end of this process flat undeclared. But the other piece of this, it's so fun when they're just saying, oh my goodness, I knew I was really interested in engineering, but here's this whole thing, and I have just found my complete happy place, and off they go. I mean, which is just so fun.
I I think what he is talking about is congruence of your application. So if you have decided to take the science trilogy, and then you have also taken the science trilogy AP, and now you're going to show up to a school and say you're undecided. There's not a to your application.
Yep.
When Innie is having that conversation with you as a young student, she is trying to develop a congruence to your application, because your admissions evaluator has to read your application among hundreds of others in about 15 minutes.
Right.
So an application that's all over the place, jumping around, is very difficult for human nature to evaluate. So when you have your application put together and you are looking for someone, oh, will someone just read my essay to give me advice and then I'll press submit? That's not it. That's the tip of your iceberg. So if you are having someone read your essay so that you can know whether you should press submit, they should be reading your entire Common App and looking for the congruence of your application. And if they have questions in your application that they can't answer just by flipping a page or looking back at a transcript or something like that, that question must be answered somewhere in your application. Because if I review your application and I only have 15 minutes to do it, and I'm just coming up with question, I'm on you, right? Because I have another application to review. So you have to understand that there's an element of human nature. So if in the beginning of our conversation, we talked about how the essay was the bow on top of the package, and that's really the backdrop, the why for everything that you're putting forward in your application. So yes, undecided. But then I also want to see, so you took the trilogy of science and then you went through and took the trilogy of AP science. Well, you're not exactly undecided. So my question is, well, why are you undecided? So then in your sup essay, I then might see, I really enjoy science, but I've always wanted to be a dancer. Okay, great. Question answered. Fantastic. Congruence of the application.
But
And
let's talk about the trilogy, because I think sometimes we talk in application speak and our listeners are like, what's the trilogy of science? It's biochem and physics.
yes,
So I just want to set that with everybody, because I know we get going with our acronyms and stuff. It's biochem and physics.
So,
Oh,
and then also in the beginning of this call, someone was like, how do I get my application reviewed? So any of the people on this call are willing to review your application. It's not free. Reviewing your application is pretty intense thing that we do. But you can go to support@counselmore.com and you can say, I need someone, and we will connect you to one of these people or someone else who can do that for you. So you're not dead in the water, and this isn't where the advice stops. Okay. So I don't want you to feel like, oh, now I have more questions.
come next week. Come next Thursday.
I need someone to audit my application. Okay. Support@counselmore.com. We'll connect you. Easy as
Yeah.
that. Okay.
I love that. I just want to say really quickly about that. I love the congruence thing. It is your job, students. It's kind of like a speed dating thing, right? It's your job. Convince the admissions office within 15 minutes that you belong on their campus. So you got to help them picture you fitting in on campus. How are you going to join, whatever clubs? How are you going to do the a cappella? Like, you have to help them picture you. Getting involved in the campus within that 15 minutes. And so for me, if you have a particular major in mind, then you can go into the why us essay. And I think somebody was asking about the why us essay. I don't remember, somewhere around here I was reading something about that. I don't know if Abigail, if you know the
I'll
thing.
paste it again.
Okay, yeah. So the why us essay
I just
that
pasted
really helps with that, if you can picture yourself there, that's what your job is to do in 15 minutes.
Wow. So we have a lot of questions. We should do like Austin set our example, and make sure that these questions are getting.
Yeah, I know it's so hard to get It's like to go off on tangent. It depends. If the you're applying to doesn't have the resources that you want, then why are you applying there? I'm not sure that, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but the question is how to write my why us essays if the schools I'm applying to don't have resources for what I want to do. Then you probably
Every school has resources for what you want to do. That's unacceptable. Then you
do more research.
every state school, every private school has consortium agreements with other schools. Always. Always, 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 always. You graduating in 4 years, when I'm at a university, you graduating in 4 years, or whatever the meter is that my dean has set, is my goal. So what do I have to do to make sure that you get what you need so that you graduate from my school? If you're asking me this question, it means that you have not spoken to an admissions advisor or an academic advisor at that school. So they do have the resources. Don't tell me they don't. Give me, go ahead. Give me the website. I'll show you. Okay.
Although I will say, I worked admissions office at Amherst College, and there was an essay I remember distinctly. Top-notch student, checked all the boxes, but then they said they wanted to study business. Now, to Margaret's point, there was a college consortium in the Valley of Amherst and Smith College and Mount Holyoke, UMass, and Hampshire. You could take business classes down the street at UMass Amherst, but for Amherst College in particular, there was no option. So that student ultimately got rejected, even though top-notch, excellent student. Everybody loved this student, wanted to accept it, but then, the resources were not going to be, readily available. You'd have to go into the consortium. So exactly, it's there. You just have to search it.
Management, that person is most likely to transfer out. So you're not a good bet for me.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
So
All
that's
right.
and that person's like, oh, Amherst didn't take me in my 1600.
That's exactly what they said. Just like that.
Okay. So what do we have? If I transfer, so do large savings hurt financial aid programs offered by schools based on family salary? Did we already answer that question? Yeah, cash. Cash will hurt. Cash on hand. If you have on hand, then why can't you for that school? I mean, it's a natural question, right? So, yeah. Would it matter if two colleges, if I wanted to lead a cleanup in my community? Would it matter? Yes.
Your community would love that.
Yes. We don't do things for the purpose of showing it to someone else, remember? It's how you behave when no one's looking. Remember?
Not just for your resume.
Right. What's more important, rigor or SAT? Neither they're same.
I feel like if you have a weakness in one or the other, you better have a strength in the other one. Like if your SAT is strong, or if your where is weak, then SATs better be strong, or vice versa.
But if you've got a 1600 and you're taking mid-level classes and getting
that
A's
means
and B's,
you're not
a great look.
That's true. That is true.
I was to say, can I take
Unless your essay tells me I hate school, I don't want to be here, I am through the motions, what I really want to do is X. Oh, okay. Because sometimes in admissions, the school that I work for, my job is to provide the rest of the runway for you. High school is like, did you ever see a horse who's about to race and they're behind the gate and that horse is just doing this? Sometimes you meet a kid like that. And my job is to get that gate open. So sometimes we do have those kids who are just chomping at the bit.
Can I take a crack at the thoughts on institutions offering 100% need-based aid? Is there caveats to this? And Margaret and Annie jump in on this, that I think what you're talking about is institutions that will meet 100% of demonstrated need. And that's based on the FAFSA. With those cases, no caveats. No, there are no caveats. What I would also say is that there's sort of scale that tips. If schools are in the position to meet 100% of demonstrated need, it is very likely that they offer little or no merit aid. And the flip side of that is if there are schools that offer merit aid, and this isn't 100%, that they may or may not meet 100% of demonstrated need. And there are reasons to sort of consider each school's if your band is such that it is likely you're going to be paying, 80% or 100% of tuition, and you want to keep your costs down, absolutely. Look for schools that have a strong track record with merit-based um, uh, grants. And then the other thing is that the stronger your profile, the more they're going to be interested in you. They're going to want to buy very bright students. The other thing is that if you coming from a family with very modest means, then yeah, you want to find schools that are going to meet 100% of demonstrated need.
And just to that, what an institution considers a need-based aid be different from what your family considers that you need, right? So, there's a family that says, oh, I need X amount for my tuition, and the school gave you a certain financial aid package, and then the family goes back and says, this is not enough, and the college says, yes, it is. You need to, refinance your home. You have property that you could sell. They get the full picture. What you consider like, oh, we don't have any money, I need as much financial aid as possible. I have a need that college is not fulfilling. The college is looking at it like, yes, you have assets. You're going to need to maybe dump some of those assets to fulfill this college need. So that's, your perspective of what you need and what the college thinks you need, they don't necessarily line up. So,
Okay, speed round, okay?
yep.
Do schools who say they don't care about demonstrated interest really? Yes, the answer is yes. Do large savings account hurt aid programs offered by schools? Yeah, okay, we already answered that. Does it matter if colleges wanted to lead the cleanup? Okay, we already answered that. Sorry. International student, I'm getting my social security number soon. Can I apply for state tuition?
Check with the bursar.
Check with the bursar, because it's going to depend if you have residence, right?
Yeah, I think it's
Right.
residence too.
Yeah, it's not just your social security card, it's going to be your state residence.
Right.
Should I apply undecided if I want to go into the health field, but I know what? Yeah, all of the health sciences are really pre-programs. There's direct entry nursing, but still freshman year, there's a washout. So yes, but again, the congruence of your application. If you want to go into the health field, I sure hope you have the science trilogy. You're welcome. If I transfer after 60 credits at low tier institution with a 4.0, is that competitive for a transfer for a top 40 school? Yeah, a weighted, are you getting that it's a weighted 400 at college? There's
Weighted 4.0, weighted 4.0.
At college?
If I transfer after 60 credits at low tier institution. So maybe they have 60 credits, so that's what, 2 years and a little bit of change, and they have a 4.0.
In college.
Is that competitive? Is a T40 school? What is a T40 school?
Probably top
40. Oh,
40.
40, top 40, okay.
Yeah. I mean, the short answer for this is if you're transferring, that your receiving institution are not obligated really to give you credit for anything. Most will, and it's stuff that's going to align with their curriculum. The other piece about this is if you're thinking about transferring, at a minimum, you want to be thinking in your own mind, you're going to be spending a minimum of 2 years at the receiving institution, and it is not unusual for that to turn into 2.5 or 3.
Not unusual. If you're transferring from a community college, you should check out TAG programs. Every community college has a TAG program, TAG, Transfer Admissions Guarantee. So they will have a consortium, a curriculum agreement with other 4-year universities. So you should definitely check those roads, because you probably have opportunity you're not aware of.
Yeah.
University of California has an amazing TAG program. University of Texas, Michigan, lots of those programs. Oh, Colorado, great transfer in Colorado. How much can the additional info box really account for GPA? Yeah, the additional information box, that's where you put
Use it.
excuse.
Use it. Absolutely. Use it.
My daughter is a pre-med in biology. She's a biochemistry major and is a ballerina. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's the on the resume that I wind up paying more attention to.
Yeah.
How to write my why us essays if the school. Oh, wait, I feel like we did some of these.
We did that one. Yeah. There's one there. I'm in the TikTok chat room, and there's somebody who is desperate for an answer to this question. I got you, future doctor. I have a 5.1 weighted GPA in Oklahoma, and I want to go to med school. Is it possible to get into Ivy League schools? It's so hard to know without just like if I mean that's you're giving us 5.1 weighted GPA. That's fantastic, amazing. And you want to go to med school? Well, are you
All this
applying to
It's
8-year
not the
programs?
GPA. No, it's not
Yeah, that's
you're worried about. GPA when you graduate your 4-year school. So don't worry about going to elite and
med
undergrad.
school.
Blow all your money right now. No, 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 no. Med school is going to cost you a
Yeah.
ton.
And
Well,
do well on
maybe
the
that's
MCATs.
and the well, I mean, unless the student is looking at like the special programs, the 8-year programs, 7-year programs, and that's maybe
Right.
that's
No,
what
but
they're
when I
looking
mean when
into. But
they're
none of the Ivies
undergraduates,
have that.
yeah.
None of the
Oh,
Ivies
the
have
Ivies
that.
have that. Wait, and where are they?
Brown has that. Oklahoma.
Oh, God, you are so close to great undergraduate med programs. You are so close. How about you go
Yeah.
to your state website tonight? Because when you want to go to med school, guess who you're competing with then? Oh, it's not these kids. These kids, you want to go to major leagues? Come on. Come
Yeah.
on.
I hope that's you, future doctor.
He-
And thanks for being persistent.
And Mike Kopp in Colorado is a med school expert. So if you are actually thinking, how am I going to do this? If money is no object, then, great, go spend all you want. But if money is a consideration for you and you have to plan how you're going to come up with $200,000 to pay for all the way through to med school, I think you want to talk to Mike. So why don't you email support@CounselMore and we'll give you Mike's email address and you can talk to him. He is old school. I'm talking folders, old school, but he will know exactly what you're talking about. And if he can't help you, he'll refer you to someone who can. Okay, how do I write about my struggles with narcolepsy? Austin, you're the man.
Oh gosh, I mean, honestly,
Yeah, totally.
and with this, with a medical condition, I mean, that shouldn't disqualify anyone. I mean, I think from a statutory standpoint. And then the other thing is that, what does this mean for you? And especially with a school that's going to be interested in you, if you have a medical condition that is going to, to a degree interfere with your studies, be honest about this. I mean, okay, what do I do about this? There's plenty of schools for whom, most lectures and classes are going to be, taped or transcripted or something like that. So if in fact you're not off during class, no big deal. Here's all the notes from this class. Thank you very much. And as far as the, getting into the school, I mean, obviously, if you've got good grades, if you're working hard, that's not the disqualifier. And once you get to your receiving school, go to the student affairs office. And in most cases, well, you'll feel like you're the first person who's ever had this, who they've ever seen. They'll just say, oh, this is great. And, thank you so much. We've worked with a number of students and here's what we find works well with some of our students. How does this sort of dovetail with your needs and your expectations? And that should work really well.
Yeah, and with narcolepsy though, where you live is going to impact your schoolwork. So
Right. Right.
this time you're applying to the university, I would contact Disability Affairs and
Sure. And student services are going to be a great ally.
And when you write about it, it's not no medical condition or anything is going to be the surefire ticket one way or another, one way in or one way out. They're really going to look at, okay, if you have this condition, how have you overcome it, or what are you doing to deal with the challenges that you face? So, and that's going to be the more important piece of that essay if you decide to write about it.
Right.
I have a
Yep.
letter of rec from a principal at the school. I'm ED1. Does this
Okay.
improve my odds of getting in? There's no principal at the school that you're ED1. Like if you're going ED1, there's not a principal. So do you have a letter of rec from the principal of your school and you're sending that to ED1 and we'll put
Maybe that's what they mean.
So any good letter of recommendation, of course, is going to help your application in total. Never does a letter of rec from some auspicious name help your application. It's what they have to say about you, not who they are. So,
Right. And how well they know you,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and how can they talk about your character, academic stuff, all that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I have many opinions about letters of rec, so I'm going to stop there. Recommendations to stand out when I'm at a fly-in. If a university has flown you in, how about you just stand out for being a good person? I had a student who was taken on a fly-in. Now this is a pretty qualified student, so he was taken on his host, the other student, the senior, took him to a party, and he's never been to a party. He's never had alcohol before. Yeah. And the senior, who was his host, went to admissions to say, it is my fault. Blame me. Don't hold it on this candidate, right? Because the candidate was like, you senior, this is all your fault. I'm so mad you risked my entry and what have you. That didn't matter. If you're on a fly-in, consider it, your very long interview.
Mm.
Definitely. Let's not stand out.
In that way.
Is it bad to use ChatGPT to help give feedback on your essays for flow of wording and grammar? I think GPT is great for people with dyslexia and for you to get advice. But if you're feeding it into ChatGPT and your command for ChatGPT is rewrite my essay, well, then you're not writing the essay, are you? But if you're saying, could you critique this for my grammar? Then you're getting advice, right? So, anybody? Okay.
Yep.
Do you think I should play sports, or I'm in sophomore year and clubs are enough? Do you like sports? I don't think you should go do anything that you're not into. I mean, but you never know. Push yourself past your comfort zone, because you never know what happens when you're outside your comfort zone. I actually tried field hockey. That was a great experience to know that I'm never going to play field hockey, right? It's totally okay for you to
Yeah.
write that on your application too, that I played field hockey for a semester. Okay, what did you learn? I learned I'm terrible at field hockey and I should not be here. Great.
Yeah.
Because it tells me in admissions that you're going to go try. And I have over
Right.
150 clubs on this campus. Somebody better go try them. I want you to be involved in my campus. I want you to be the thread that holds our community together. So tell me you're that person. Don't just win on your application. That's not necessary. Considering test scores and GPAs, the difference, low income students for Ivy Leagues. Test scores and GPA, is there a difference for low income students? No, not low income, but resources. Let me tell you a secret. Everything in admissions is in light of resources. What did the scholar do? So I take care of my little brother after school. My mom comes home and then we trade off, and then I go do my homework, and then my dad comes home. Tell me about your day. There are several supplemental essays where they say, describe your community. We want to know what your day looks like. So if I am who has the means to be driven to and from school, and my lunch gets packed for me and stuff, that's a very different day than someone who is packing their own lunch, or someone who doesn't have a lunch, right? It's okay for you to draw that contrast in your application. Be all of who you are and give us all of it. It's not about being low income. It's about what you did with it, right? Right? You know,
Yes.
I didn't have to tell you that. You already knew that.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
what can the undocumented student do to get some aid? Every school is different. Every single school is different. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
you're to have to approach the financial aid office directly. Austin, did you have better information for a DACA student?
No, I mean, there's a very small group of very well endowed schools for whom that they don't charge tuition. And this would be like Olin's, this would be like Webb Institute, this would be like, oh gosh, there's the art school in New York City. And you count these on two hands. And they're also highly, but that, one sort of to take. And then, Margaret, I completely agree with you, is with this, a key and a very sort of confidential conversation, the financial aid office, And again, every school is going to approach this a little bit differently. And so I would just time spent probably on the phone, just because that's a little more discreet, and you can just sort of say, hey, listen, I'm a high school student, in Ohio, and I'm undocumented, and everything at your school resonates very, very deeply with me, and I'd love to go there. Are there any opportunities there as far as grants or something like that? And if it exists, we'll say yes. And so that you are going to be rewarded for legwork there.
Yes, you will, but you got to make a phone call.
Yeah, and I would say, I mean, just honestly, call up either the switchboard and say, can you connect me to the financial aid office? Or if there's that phone on the website, that a vague and appropriate, a vague but also appropriate phone call. And if schools are offering it, they'll let you know.
Yeah, if you live near a college that you're thinking about, like let's say you live near San Jose State, you could actually walk into the financial aid office and ask to talk to a financial aid advisor.
Right.
And they will say, sure, come to my desk, and you will have a conversation. You don't have to give them your name or anything like that. You can just have a conversation with them.
Right.
Don't feel like resources are behind locked doors. Just go knock on
And
the door.
then the final thing is, if at a school the answer is unfortunately no, it's also completely in bounds to ask, can you think of any institutions that might support me?
Yes,
If
excellent.
they know about it, they'll let you
Yes.
know.
Yes, because we all go to conferences in these little circles. We all talk amongst ourselves. So if we
Right.
do have programs at other places, we will know.
Right.
Network between us. Yes,
And
that's excellent advice. What loan distributors to the most majority of private I can't tell you that. Advice for my daughter to stand out during a rural Columbia fly-in. If the school is already flying your student in, they've already stood out. They've already stood out. There's nothing, you don't have to stand out anymore. Just be you. Be you. I think I should play sport. Okay, sorry. It's too late for me to ask for the rec letters for early action. It's never too late. You're going to use letters of rec today, tomorrow, and years to come. Get those letters. Careful how you ask for letters. Ask in writing. Put your expectations, what you would like them to write about, and why are you asking them to write you a letter? Why? If you just letter, so you just asked me, like, okay, go ask somebody else. Why me? Why are you for a letter, right? So the person you're asking for a letter of rec, tell them why it's them you're asking. Anyone else? No? Okay.
Yeah.
Homeschooled
Yeah.
6 through 9. Oh, should I email the local admissions counselor to show my interest in their school? No, don't. I don't think anybody should trump up a false premise to connect. I feel like that's what that question is asking. And any of these little things, these little, cutesy little tricks I'm gonna do, we're gonna see right through it. It's gonna backfire. Don't do it. 6 through 9, but nice. 6 through 9 homeschooled. Wow, your mom is
middle school.
middle.
Par-
That's
Oof.
Parents get
The
gold
ugly
star on that
years.
one.
The ugly years.
go hug your mom right now, right now, and but have done great in public school. Will the lack of hard courses affect me? It was 6
Well,
through 9. That what are you worried about the lack of hard courses?
well, and I think this goes to what we talked about earlier, that they're going to be looked in the context of the opportunities that they have at their school.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Kindness quality, her best quality is kindness. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she's the best. I love her. Do colleges care about volunteer hours or job experience more? It's not an either or. It's not a there's not
Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges.
yes.
You-
If you
Why
use
are you those things? Why
if,
are you volunteering? And yeah.
if you use a CounselMore counselor, that counselor will show you how each area of the application is weighted for that school. So the area of volunteer work is weighted as very important. The area of have you worked for paid employment, how is that weighted? And it will say that it's either very important, considered, or not considered. So if you're really interested in a very specific school, I would encourage you to connect with a CounselMore counselor, because see the different weighting areas of that application, and then they can truly match you to, where you are best leveled. So if you're really thinking, oh no, I have volunteer and I don't have work, or I have work and I don't have volunteer, then maybe you want to look at the granular weighting of each area of the application, and your CounselMore counselor can do that for you. Any one of these people here. Our EA always
Austin and I, same thing. We're
No,
like,
I don't. Well, no, I'll be quick. You know what? I have a slight here, but we're about this apart. What I like about work and students who work is that they have to get up out of bed in the morning. They have to look presentable. They have to show up somewhere. They have to listen to somebody who's supervising them and do all this stuff. They have to take out the trash. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I there's to that. And all of that said, there's no shortage of volunteer opportunities for great organizations that frankly can't pay people.
right.
And so the fact that they have volunteers, and as a student, if they have something that just for whatever reason has kind of caught them
Yep.
and they're doing it, I think there's value to that too.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Is EA the boost, or EA versus RD? So early admission, or sorry, early application. Yes, early application,
Early action.
early action, or regular decision. So early action some schools have different deadlines, right? So you'll go and you'll look at what's the deadline for the application, and it will say early action,
Yes,
or it will say early decision.
which is binding.
So action, it means that, well, hopefully the the goal is early, you get your answer back early. Unfortunately, universities are so overwhelmed with application that fewer and fewer are getting their answers back by December. So if you early action by November 1st, we used to be able to get results by the beginning of December, but too many students are applying, quite frankly, and we don't have the staff. So now we see universities who say, I can't take you in the early action, so I'm going to have to move your decision to regular decision. And then you're going to wait anyway. But your early action it's not in vain, because they know that you chose one of your top schools, and that you were ready to apply early. So you're never going to lose that edge. It just means I couldn't get to your in time. That's all. So don't if you get pushed off, don't worry.
yeah. I would just say for EA versus the early action versus early decision, make sure that if you are applying early decision, that you really want to go to that school. I know I actually was talking to a parent this morning who said, I just want them to have that extra edge in the early process. So we want to apply to NYU for their early decision program, because, I heard that my daughter will have a better chance of getting in if she does early decision. The daughter does not want to go to NYU, would rather go, her top choice is USC. And so we had this whole conversation. I was like, you understand that if she gets into NYU, she has to go there. She puts her admissions at risk at USC, even if she gets in. Another warning from ED, early decision. I had a student one year tell me, I really want to go to Brown. Brown is ED. Early decision. She got in. The next year, her brother got into Yale. And she came back and she's like, I really love Brown, but I'm better than my brother. And I always wonder if I
Oh,
could have gotten into Yale too. There was, and they had this civil rivalry. And it was the funniest thing. But she said, I loved my time at Brown, but it's always been in the back of my mind. I thought that's what I wanted. That's what I knew I wanted that. But then when I got to college and I met all these other kids from all over the world, I was like, man, did I sell myself short by just and not selling yourself short, because I mean, Brown is a fantastic dream school, but she was just curious. She has to kind of live with that, like that decision that she when she was 17, 18 years old, and the consequences of that. Not that that was a bad, like, oh my gosh, woe is me. You had to go to Brown, boo. But she kind of had that curious sort of itch now. So just make sure if you're doing ED, I don't encourage myself to go ED unless they are diehards, like I really, really want to, or if like UPenn or something where they'd say, 50% of their freshman class comes from the ED class, from the early pool, right? That gives you a huge advantage. But in other worlds, in other scenarios, I always say if you want to prepare early, do EA, get the results, and then you can kind of breathe easy, have a nice Christmas, enjoy your, break a little bit. It's good to kind of get those answers back too. So
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. So we're gonna wrap it up. We've been talking at you for a long time, but there are several questions, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read one, and Austin's gonna answer it, and then I'm gonna read the next one, and he's gonna answer it, and we're gonna answer them as fast as we can. In California, undocumented students can get paid by filling out the DREAM Act application. A student. Is that true? The DREAM Act application? I don't know if you get paid. I don't know if money comes out of that.
Right.
so
I would say, because if it sounds like this is a student in California,
Mhm.
I would say their best resource for this is going to be their school counseling office.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Start there. Okay, Annie, I'm in 11th grade. I do MMA. I enjoy the discipline I gain from it. How does this look on my app?
Amazing. But what are you doing? Are you just beating up people? Because I don't want, colleges don't want you coming up and beating people on the campus. It's you do it. I love that you love the discipline. But you need to in a way that colleges will be like, ooh, that's kind of cool. Maybe he'll start an MMA club at our school. If that's the way you're framing it, then fantastic. I think it's making you very interesting. I want to know more. Are you the future doctor? I feel like that was something I saw. 5.1 GPA, future doctor, or
They're
something
creating
rather.
their own patients.
Oh, yeah, it is actually the future doctor.
Is
Yeah.
Yeah, see?
way to stand out. Way to
Yeah.
stand out. There you go. There you go. Answers your question.
What if you're not being guided at your house, at your high school? Where can you get assistance, Austin?
Well, obviously, if they're watching this podcast, there are people available, and for in some cases fees. I guess the other piece of this would be, if they're not getting help at their high school, are there other high schools in their town? It's a school problem, and find a school that will help them with the problem, or hire a consultant.
At your school, you might have a guidance counselor, but you have a vice principal, and that vice principal knows of resources in your town. There are volunteer agencies. There's volunteer agencies in every town that will have education help. So I would circle back to the vice principal if you don't have a college counselor at your school and ask them. Okay, any essay on butterfly effect, which begins in residential treatment center. Is that an auto reject topic?
I'm not really sure what that topic is.
Uh, The chaos theory, the butterfly effect?
Yeah, I mean, I'm of the school of thought like that there is no topic that could automatically reject you or accept you. So depending on how you frame the topics, I don't know. Austin, do you have a better answer for that? I'm
No,
not
no, no.
sure.
I do, and again, if I guess I would ask the question, with that topic, what are they trying to do with it? And
Yeah.
with these, I mean, your personal essay, if we want to put it very simply, is, well, I guess you could put it in, tell us something that really sort of captivates you and has you laying in bed thinking about, but again, I mean, part of it is what brought you to this place. And then the other thing is, if we're talking about the butterfly effect, does this intrigue you? Does this scare you? Does this make you excited for the future? The first part is going to be, what's your origin story? And the second part about this is, where do you see this taking you, or why is this really interesting to you?
Yeah. Is this really about pronation? Right? The
Right.
universe is secretly conspiring for you, not against you, for you. Help with Texas. So if you need any help with tests, I think that you should look up Odyssey College Prep, Arkansas. The director of education there is Mark Gray, MARC Gray. And he was on our show just a couple of weeks ago. And what he can do is he can hook you up with a whole team of test prep tutors to help zero you in on the right test. Did somebody else have a tutoring? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
So should I send SAT scores after I submit my application? November 1 deadline, November SAT. That's an
Yeah, That's an interesting question. I get that question a lot. If you're doing early applications, can I send them my November's test score? The answer is yes, you can still send it. You want to have your application by November 1st, before November 1st, way before November 1st. However, teacher recs and the test scores are not, it's not available for the 2 weeks after the deadline. They're not going to penalize you for it. And most schools will say the November test deadline is okay for the early applications. I was going to say something else about this. The other thing about this, some schools want you to submit the official SAT score before they make a decision, and some will require you after you get in. They don't want you wasting your money on sending an official test score. You self-report it on your Common App. Once you get in, then they say, okay, now you verify it, send us your official test score. So sometimes you can get away with just submitting your self-reported, and then you can wait till after the decisions.
Right. And the other thing is now, especially with score reports, that what's not unusual if you're a little bit past the deadline is go into your school counseling office, literally show them your score report on your screen, screenshot it, develop a PDF, give it to your school, and they've, the sort of better pipeline. They can then send it to the school, them attach it to your kind of as a placeholder in your application until your official report goes. And then, the College Board is good, but not great.
Okay,
And
my thing is that after you submit, you must go make your candidate portal. You will get a receipt of your application. That receipt will include instructions that say, go make your candidate portal. You need that because you just did all of this work and now you've submitted it. And now they keep putting on your candidate portal that they need something from you, but you don't respond. And if you don't respond, guess what? I don't care. I'm just going to move on to the next candidate. So if you really want to come to my school, please make a candidate portal. Stay on top of your application until you get a decision. Okay. Okay. I had a student who lost admissions because she just never checked her email. Never checked it. Oh, didn't check it. Okay, so there are so many questions here and we cannot answer them. I'm so sorry. But we will be back again next Thursday night for more college advice and from these counselors and other counselors. So please come back and email us if you've got an urgent question. All right?
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you guys. Make tune in 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. PDT next Thursday.
Thank you for the likes and the follows.